And today I'm talking to Tara Crist, and Tara is a paddleboard instructor with a paddleboard business called Paddleboard Maidenhead. And you are also a yoga teacher, and that is your background. So, hello, Tara.
Hello, Emma.
Would you like to tell us how you started out being a yoga teacher and how you are now doing paddleboarding?
Yes, certainly. That's how we know each other. I used to teach baby yoga and postnatal yoga and everything. And I was a kayak instructor down at Longridge Canoe Club, which is now Bisham Canoe Club. And when you're that, you're voluntary, and I did that for years. And I was mainly doing the children, which was great fun. I love being on the river. And my husband and I used to race kayaks, which was really, really fun. And then he got really bad back, and he said, "Oh, I can't sit in the, I sit at work, I sit on a bike, I sit in the car to work, and I can't sit at weekends kayaking." He said, "Well, I'm going to go stand up paddleboarding." I went, "Oh no, you can't do that. That's pathetic." I thought, there's no effort involved. Just look at them. I don't know what they're doing, but it looks silly. And I said, "I'll go with you though." And I went on it, and within, I'm not joking, about 10 seconds, I stood on it and I thought, wow, this is a moving yoga mat on water. And I was completely taken back by it. It was, from years of sitting in a kayak, to be able to stand up was just so wonderful. Stretch your legs. You can lie, you can sit, you can kneel, you can do yoga on them, and step back turns. I was just in heaven, and we haven't looked back since. And we started off with 2 boards. We bought boards that day. And then I think you had a lesson, you got the money off the paddleboard if you bought one. And I think we've got about 30 now. 30 paddleboards.
30?
Yes.
So you started off, so this was pre-lockdown, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
But it took off in lockdown.
And it took off in lockdown, which is quite an interesting thing, because in lockdown, but everybody was on the water, weren't they?
They were, and the yoga class had to stop. I was doing like 12 yoga classes a week of everything from brand new babies to much older senior people. And it literally, and all the venues closed down. Some of them didn't open up again. And so I'm really appreciative. I would have been absolutely stuffed. Yeah. And there are so many yoga teachers, wonderful yoga teachers in Maidenhead. So it was just it was a lifesaver for me, and for a lot of people who live near the water, but they didn't have the confidence to go out. And now lots of people have bought paddleboards. They don't necessarily have lessons or require our services, but those who find that they paddle further and you're more explorative, then they come along to us, because we go everywhere. We go from, well, we're doing Dart next week, but we're doing Bath. We went to Dudley Caverns this year, but normally it's around the Thames. It's from Oxford, actually Lechlade, down to Teddington Lock. So we do the whole lot. Once people get really keen. So it's just a natural, very, very natural progression. And for me, it's still a moving yoga mat on water.
Yeah, and you do yoga on the paddleboards as well. Yeah, sometimes, not in all your lessons.
No, but yesterday I was starting with, there are 2 friends, they wanted a lesson. They're non-swimmers. And I say to them, I always start off with yoga on the boards, because you're in the cat position, the dog, and you're on all fours, because you've got to get to standing.
So when you get onto the paddle boards, you are starting off in that cat position.
Yes, because you've got to sit cross-legged, then you have to kneel, and then you've got to lunge, and then you've got to get on all fours, and then you've got to sort of do like a downward dog, and then you've got to do a squat just to get up. So if you can do those, you can do paddleboarding. If you can't go from standing to kneeling, and then it's pretty impossible. You do need a certain level of agility.
Do people worry about falling in?
All the time.
Yeah. And do they fall in? How often do people
Not
fall
very
in?
often. You can go a whole weekend and nobody falls in. You can go 2 weeks with nobody falling in, and then it really does depend. It depends on also, men tend to fall in a little bit more because they're a little bit naturally more adventurous. I mean, this is very, yeah, yes. And then women tend to be naturally a little bit more cautious.
Okay. So men are trying to do stunts and things.
They think, oh, I can move my feet, I can do it, I can beat her, or I would take her, or something. But it's not always the case. And women are a little bit more agile. They can, again, it doesn't always work that way. In a broad sense. So you get those. It's more your character sometimes, and sometimes you can just, if you're very tall, it's a little bit harder. If you're small, I had this lovely, sister-in-laws, and one was really little and one was really tall, and I said to the little one, you'll be absolutely fine. You won't feel wobbly. And the tall one, I said, you're going to get jelly legs. And it was exactly that. That was just over years of experience. You can just see. But they both did great. But
so if they feel a bit wobbly, are they more likely to fall in?
Only if they believe in the wobbliness.
Okay.
If you think that you're in survival and you think it's dangerous and you think, oh, and you start worrying, but we just say breathe. So again, it's very yoga-ish. Breathe, relax, do a little wobble yourself. We'll teach them how to wobble and then squat and then stop. And so you teach them ways to stop the wobble, or just get down your knees, or it is a mental game. It really is because you're activated when you're standing on something. You've activated a sense of survival. Something, the ground is wobbly, you're not used to a wobbly surface. If you've been a skier, a surfer, any skateboarder, anything like that, they're absolutely fine.
You've got the balance.
Got the balance. You're used to the ground moving, you know. And
doing it on the river, is that different to, say, going on the sea?
Very much easier.
Because if you're in the sea, you've got the waves, so then you'll have that against you, won't you?
Yes. But you've also got the wash on the river. But we say, I was recording something yesterday, and I said, and I was going, I think it was live Instagram, and I said, you want to sit down now, because the boats were speeding in the afternoon. Sometimes the boats are speeding.
So that's getting. So the boats are coming past you,
and they're going a bit. There's no control on the speed on the river.
Turbulence.
It is. No, they're not keeping to the speed limit.
So going back to when you started, so you started with just a couple of boards.
Mm-hmm.
Now you've got.
I think you were one of my first students.
I was, and I touch wood, I've never fallen in, and I've done yoga on there as well.
Yeah.
I've not paddleboarded for a while, but you've now got what, 30 boards, and you've taken your husband on board.
Yes.
Yes.
Literally. Yeah.
So he's now part of the Paddleboard Maidenhead team.
Yeah. He's equivalent to about 7 part-time staff. The team hasn't grown because I've taken him on board, and he could easily paddle 8 hours a day.
Oh, that's good.
I can't believe he sat down for those 2 years in an office job.
Yeah.
One day he said, would you employ me if I left work? And I said, sure I would. So it's actually easier because I don't have to ring around for staff, because obviously I can't paddle all day every day, because you've also got all the admin and
well, in lockdown you were taking on young students, weren't you?
Yes, and some adults. Some of my best students, I said, do you want to be an instructor? The courses are very long to be an instructor. It's outsourced, but there's one thing passing your test, another thing knowing what you're doing. You know, it's very easy to pass. But
you've got to teach somebody else.
Yeah, and it's also we're looking at water quality, which we're part of a river watch. We test the water every week. We're looking at winds. We're looking at the weather constantly, which direction the wind is going. So there's a lot of other factors than just getting people on the water. That's the easy part, but getting them there and making sure they have everything they need. They come dressed to the right equipment. You've asked the right questions. You can't assume everyone can do it, but most people who have that desire to do it know that they could do it, because you do have to have had a certain level of agility. As I say, you've got to be able to sit down. You've got to be able to kneel up. But if you need furniture to get yourself up, you can't do that. Yeah. But people are not saying, we do a little video. Phil and I have done a lovely little video, and he's really grumpy about yoga or stretching. And people really like that. It's like, this is what you need to be able to come paddleboarding. So we have that video if anybody wants to see that.
Because Phil doesn't do yoga at all, does he?
No, but it's been really good for him, because from sitting on the chair all the time, he has to sit on a paddleboard. You always start from sitting, you finish on sitting, and every time somebody wants a break or a drink, you sit down. So it's actually a really helpful thing, because all of us need to be able to sit on the floor and get up.
Yeah,
it's for your whole life. So my oldest yoga student is 96, 97, and you have to have that ability to get off the floor.
Yeah,
even if we've got knee replacements, hip replacements, shoulder replacements. You can still get off the floor.
Yeah, they do a lot of risk assessments. So there's always a lot of controversy about sewage in the water. So you have to do all these tests all the time to make sure it's safe. And then sometimes you have the weather against you, don't you?
Yeah. So if people book, we will look and see, if it's light rain and light wind, and we go, right, it's absolutely good. We confirm it the day before and say, right, this is where we are paddling from, because the winds and everything. So there's a little thought that goes into where we paddle. But sometimes it's not going to be so great. So we'll actually say, let's postpone. And that's hard if someone's got a family gathering or they have friends but luckily with most of our groups, I'd say 99% of our big groups, because we do take corporate or team building or parties and things, they work out. They're the ones that, because it's hard to reorganise 20 people to come to a paddleboard.
I mean, do they usually book those sorts of events in the summer? Because in the winter, if you've had a lot of rain...
Oh, we don't take many people on in the winter. Not many people want to come naturally.
Because the water levels rise, don't they?
Yes, but we go to canals.
Okay, so there's an alternative then. If the river's running very fast and it's high, you can use it.
Yes, we will
waterways.
Not. Exactly, we won't be on the river then. And but we have a SUP club. So those people, they pay like a monthly fee, and they're the ones that, like yesterday we were in Wargrave, and like the week before I think someone went to Oxford or Marlow, Hurley, Windsor. So we move around, and they're the ones who've got the boards, and we need to, in order to keep them, I mean, we all love exploring, so we take them on lots of lovely trips, and they gain in confidence, stamina. Some of them did the Trent 100 last year. Some have done the Race to the Castle. That was 40k. One of the girls, I'm so proud. She said my sport was crochet, and she's small. She's said she's not sporty, but she managed 40k. It took her nearly, I think, 7.5 hours, but she did it. But she comes 2 mornings a week at like 6:30 in the morning, and she doesn't miss, and she did it all winter. And her longest paddle she'd ever done was 20k. We dropped her and Phil up a bit higher up. So he trains people individually or in a group for the endurance. He really likes those events.
Good. So there's lots of different things, and there's another one called aqua paddle, which is almost like park run but on water.
That's right.
And they go around.
They go all around the country, or you can always just look up aqua paddle. They are everywhere in the country.
And that's a free event. You just got to have your own board, and they have marshals, don't they? Yeah. So the benefits of coming along to a paddleboard school like yourselves is that you can teach the basic skills, can't you?
Yes, because I don't think they're intuitive. I mean, you've tried it. It's not intuitive. People have to paddle the wrong way around.
Yeah.
They use their arms and shoulders, and they're not using their tummy and back.
That's me. Yeah.
So there's but once you've done it a few times, and you're still evolving. I've got people who are paddling over a year with us, and we're still going, okay, if you reach a little bit more forward and you get that paddle in a little bit more vertical, then you'll get more of a catch, and then it's less effort. So yesterday we did 12k. There's some people that was their longest paddle again they'd ever done, and it was great. It was super. But it's just little bits, drip feeding them little techniques so that they can get to the 40k if they ever wanted to. Yeah. He's not saying everybody wants to do 40k, but to be able to do 12 or 20k, then we take them to the source of the Thames. That's a very slow paddle, but over a distance, and that's a one way. But normally it's a there and back in general.
Yeah.
But we kept out of the SUP club, I think 16 of them kept paddling all winter, which is really good. They've got dry suits on, and we've got the boots, and it's really fun because in winter people have more time. Summer, everyone's got a social to go to.
So that's interesting. So there's more time in the winter, but it's just dressing correctly.
Yeah, and I would say with that, always, join a club. If you want to go out in the winter, don't go out by yourself. And if you want to go further, if you find you're not going often enough, then I would suggest there's some social clubs you don't have to pay for at all. They're just people gathering and saying, let's go meet up in Basingstoke Canal, or let's go meet up in Wallingford or whatever. But there are some clubs like ours which you pay because you're getting 1 or 2 instructors and coaches, and that's how we do it. But every club does it differently. But it's really worth joining a club. And don't buy a board. Never buy a board. Just try everybody else's.
Try before you buy.
Yes, because you want to have the similar length board as the people you're paddling with. If you're all on 10.6s, which most people have, then it's fine. But if you have joined a club that like to endurance or just like going out distance, and they've got 14-foot boards and 12.6s, that's the board you want to get. But it also has to match your height. There's no point giving somebody who's 5'2" a 14-foot board. Yeah. It just doesn't. You don't need a board 3 times as long as you, because you've also got to carry them. out of the
true.
lock. But there's
Yeah.
there's so much to learn.
There's lots to think about, and there are different types of boards and different brands.
Yeah,
and it's a minefield, isn't it?
It is, and I don't even go there. And I think sometimes it's better to buy sometimes a good second-hand board if you can't afford the new one. And obviously, it's always good for the environment. But just buy a good quality board, whether it's second-hand or first time.
Yeah.
And don't go out and unless you just want to poodle. If you just want to poodle once or times a year with your family and play in the water to the sea, fantastic. But if you really think, oh, this could be your sport, take your time, because it's really, I love it. I had so much fun yesterday. We went to Walgrave and it's just absolutely beautiful. You know, I think there were 6 of us, 5 girls and 1 woman, 1 man. And it was just really lovely. We took our time. We ended up in a cafe. We did 4 hours, 12 kilometres. And at 12 kilometres, you realise we went quite slowly. And it was good. It was really.
So you do
really
loads
fun.
of different things. You've done in the past. You've done full moon paddles
Yes.
at night. You've done daytime, sunsets, sunrises.
Want to hear the owls hooting or see the kingfishers and the herons? It's first in the morning.
Oh, lovely.
There's lots of different things, and we can bespoke it to the people, you know.
So if you've got a family that they don't want to do 10k or whatever it might be, they just want to have a go, you can do that as well.
Yeah, just message me. You can put yourselves in for a SUP starter, but sometimes the children are perhaps out of the range. We're saying 8 years, 7 years. But I've had fantastic 6-year-olds who come. It just depends on the child. But you want to, as an adult, be really good before you put your kids on the board.
But you'd go on the board with the child. You wouldn't send the child off on their own on a board.
Never. No, we don't hire out to children or teenagers. We do hires, but we like to know that people can paddle. Because you've got to pass a weir, you've got river traffic, you've got a little bit of breeze. Like yesterday we had a bit of a breeze. At 1 minute it was coming from the east, the next minute it was coming from the south. And you just got to know what you're doing, because you don't want to scare anybody. No. Certainly don't want to scare children.
You don't want to put them off.
No.
The other thing is river license. Do you need a river license?
Yes, if you have a board, you need a river license. You get that through, it used to be called British Canoes, now it's called Paddle UK.
So if they go out with you, you don't need a river license because you're with the paddle school.
Yeah, we have the licenses.
Yeah, so it's a good idea to, as you say, try before you buy, go along to a paddle school where you've got the paddle boards to have a go at and try them all out, and you don't need to worry about making huge purchases.
No, yes, exactly. And then if you start in the summer, then you could get going in the winter if you wanted to. Because we said sometimes it's a bit tricky around here. The river this winter was much easier. The winter before was really, really wet. And we had to keep going a bit further, you know, Basingstoke or the Grand Union Canal. And it was like, we said, do you prefer to close it down in the winter? This makes winter so much shorter, because it's really lovely. I mean, when do you go out for a walk, Emma, and you think that was horrible? You don't. No. It was great. Most of them are great.
Yeah.
You know, and the ones that are a bit rainy and the unexpected rain comes out, it's like, you remember those ones. But you rarely go out for an outdoor event and you think that was horrible.
Tell me about this sailing on the paddleboard. So this is quite a new concept.
It's not necessarily a new concept, but this is a new design.
A new design.
Because there's foils, there's wings, there's sails, but you have to pump them up. You have to go out with them, and then you've got to come back with them against the wind. So Nick, I hope you get to interview him. He's really Nick Robinson. He's a Maidonian. Well, I don't think he's originally from Maidenhead, but he's been living in Maidenhead a while. And he has designed the fastest collapsible SUP sail. So it's a sail that goes on the board. It doesn't fix onto it. You can rotate it.
It doesn't fix on.
It doesn't fix on.
You hold on to it.
You hold on to it, but there's 3 boom masts. They're made out of the same thing as a good paddleboard paddle. So they're carbon. And it's really super light, super colourful. You can have it in your colours that you want. It looks like a Japanese fan, you know. Just like, it literally opens up in 2 seconds.